Saturn in the 12th house synastry part 2. 12th houser becomes visible to the Saturn person's life when Saturn person is struggling with life pressures. This is usually about some type of imprisonment, mentally, emotionally, physically, especially spiritually. This imprisonment tends to affect Saturn person's sense of morality, as it will always be surrounding their ability to have basic necessities met or hidden from society. Saturn person and the 12th houser will bond on the need of survival. 12th houser is usually the person that has the house, the car, etc., the physical structures, but has the lack of emotional structure. This is where they will always seek out Saturn person to feel connected emotionally. 12th houser tends to grow up in a household that prioritizes the physical over the emotional, or they were made to feel guilty for receiving things that their caretakers never had. This doesn't have to be severe compared to the other planets in this 12th house synastry, while at least in the beginning, as the energy of the planet Saturn makes this mundane or something that grows better with time or worse with time. 12th houser will not be aware that they have been pressured to help everyone and sacrificed their sanity or taken away the ability to make their life choices as they desire. They were made to hide their true thoughts about things, suppress a lot of abuse to the point of believing that such abuse never happened or got comfortable with it, giving away their efforts and get no recognitions for it. This is where the Saturn person becomes relevant to the 12th houser's life. Saturn person becomes the unconscious personification to 12th houser, making 12th houser's unconscious / fears reality yet comforting. Saturn person tends to grow up in the not so best environment in life. For example, worrying about how they will pay bills, struggling with addictions that usually is due to family cycles where there is a repetition of the same thing happening to someone else in their family before they were born. The absence of the father role, consistently having to prove that they do have value and should be treated with respect, put in scenarios where they had to fight on their own against authority figures. Let's begin with the 12th houser's perspective. In the first meeting, 12th houser will instantly recognize that Saturn has a wall up. 12th houser will be afraid to approach Saturn at first because of the hard exterior, however will slowly find their way into finding out Saturn's life. 12th houser does this because they feel that Saturn is reliable emotionally and they have the ability to control emotional baggage even if it's hurting them inside. 12th houser instantly shows sympathy to Saturn person, making them feel seen, slowly working their way into breaking Saturn's walls down. 12th houser will admire Saturn's strength and want to take Saturn's pain away by constantly being there physically. However, they will not verbalize this as they struggle to recognize their own emotions due to their upbringing. This is why they rely on Saturn person, as they can have someone to appreciate them without making them feel ashamed. Secretly, they have a fear that if Saturn person finds out that 12th houser is relying on them emotionally, they will leave them or ignore their emotional needs like everybody else. Due to this, an alliance is made unconsciously between the two. A sense of loyalty here is formed. 12th houser will work hard to get Saturn's person approval or love. When Saturn does show this said approval or love, 12th houser will begin to realize that they have never had true love or a stable relationship, or that they were selling themselves short in their relationships. 12th houser will want to always be with Saturn person when they feel lost or in need of guidance. 12th houser will show Saturn that it's okay to be vulnerable or to not worry about things. 12th houser will always want to be a light energy that doesn't burden Saturn person. 12th houser will always make sure to stay with Saturn when they are suffering. 12th houser can heal things that Saturn feels it's impossible to fix. For example, being the person that speaks up for the Saturn person, building an acceptable image of Saturn person, making people more likely to treat Saturn better. For example, providing money to get rid of Saturn's debts, etc. Now to Saturn's perspective. Saturn will be shocked to find out that 12th houser is really sweet to them. They will be suspicious of this. Saturn can do a test and see if 12th houser will pass it. For example, saying something deep about their life and seeing if 12th houser will change after the fact or tell someone. This is due to Saturn being backstabbed many times before. If 12th houser passes this, Saturn person will let 12th houser see them more often in their vulnerable states. However, they will constantly tell 12th houser that they are fine to not appear weak. Saturn Saturn person will notice that 12th houser suppresses their fears and will work on releasing those. For example, 12th houser's fear of abandonment, they will make 12th houser cut people off that are using them. 12th houser also shows your hidden enemies. This is something that Saturn will recognize in the 12th houser's life and push 12th housers to address said people. Saturn's aim is to get 12th houser to mature in the terms of their fears. This too can be seen by Saturn person making 12th houser follow their dreams that people saw it as not important. Saturn will always remember when 12th houser was there for them. Therefore, when they do achieve something, they always bring attention to 12th houser's name or bring them along. This synastry in its positive light shows two individuals that love each other based on the respect and loyalty of helping each other with their fears that limit them. In the bad light, Saturn can be extra harsh to 12th houser as they believe that 12th houser doesn't know what real pain is or that 12th houser naivety can't be trusted to keep them around. Saturn could find that 12th houser doesn't have the same strength as them, therefore they could ghost 12th houser as they don't want to deal with the feeling of uncertainty that they feel from the way 12th houser responds to things in their own life. For example, 12th houser won't cut off the fake friends they have or said fake friends talking bad about Saturn person due to them being 12th houser's day ones. 12th houser will have Saturn's person's back, but at the same time might not cut them off or could question Saturn's person's truth as they themselves as 12th housers don't know how to fight for themselves. 12th houser can hold Saturn person accountable when they fail to stick to the plan they both made to each other. This can make Saturn guilt trip them, usually about something they too failed at. This tends to be the great example of right message or wrong messenger for both people here. 12th houser can slowly feel like Saturn is a heavy energy to them as Saturn is constantly going through something or even feeling entitled to 12th houser support at all times no matter what. 12th houser can feel tied to Saturn person and not be able to have their own life. All of a sudden their life becomes all about taking care of Saturn. 12th houser rarely leaves this relationship because of codependency. However, they could mentally be checked out. Things to be careful in this synastry is lying about where the money is going to or being spent or using resources that you were not supposed to, signing contracts or forging signatures from each other, making commitments to each other when on an emotional high, codependency, being isolated from everybody else as a couple, not working on said emotional wounds that it can manifest in making each other sick or depressed.